Part 1. The alarm siren screamed through the cargo ship Perseverance as Captain Elena Martinez gripped her seat. The FTL drive was dying, and dying badly. Sparks flew from the navigation console while her engineer, James Park, shouted numbers that made no sense. "We're jumping," he yelled over the noise. "I can't stop it." Elena had flown cargo runs for 12 years. She had survived engine failures, asteroid strikes, and once, a complete life support breakdown near Saturn. She knew panic killed people faster than accidents, so she stayed calm. "Everyone strap in," she ordered. "James, kill the main power after we jump." The universe twisted. Reality bent sideways. Then everything went silent. When Elena opened her eyes, space looked wrong. The stars were different. The navigation display showed nothing but error messages, and through the front window she saw ships. Hundreds of them. They were massive, dark vessels covered in sharp angles and glowing red lights. They formed a perfect military formation that stretched for miles. Each ship was 10 times larger than the Perseverance, and every single one of them was turning toward her tiny cargo hauler. "Oh," said James quietly. "That's not good." The communications panel lit up. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. The ship's computer struggled to translate. "Primitive vessel. You have violated the sacred space of the Zylax Dominion. Power down your systems. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance means death." Elena looked at her crew. 7 people tired from a long shift, now facing what looked like an alien armada. She saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. They had all survived Earth's worst decades. They knew how to handle bad situations. "Okay," Elena said into the communicator. "Sorry about that. Our navigation system broke. We'll fix it and get out of your way." Long, confused silence. The alien voice came back, angrier now. "You apologize? You do not beg for mercy. You do not tremble." Elena frowned. "Look, it was an accident. We're not trying to cause trouble. Just give us a few hours to repair our drive and we'll jump back to where we came from." More silence. Then the screen filled with an alien face. It looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect, with 4 eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke. The creature wore what appeared to be a military uniform covered in medals. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Third Fleet," the alien said. Its 4 eyes studied Elena with an expression she couldn't read. "You are either very brave or very stupid." "Mostly tired," Elena replied. "It's been a long day." Vexthor's mandibles twitched. Behind him, other aliens moved in what looked like confusion. One of them leaned forward and whispered something. The commander's eyes widened. "You are human," Vexthor said slowly. "Your species is not in our records. You have no authorization to travel through this sector. By Dominion law, your vessel and crew are now property of the Empire." James leaned toward Elena. "Did he just say we're property?" "I think so," Elena whispered back. She turned to the screen. "Look, we don't know anything about your Dominion or your laws. We're from Earth. We've never met aliens before. This is literally our first contact with another species, and it's because our drive exploded." The alien crew behind Vexthor erupted into clicking and hissing. The commander raised a clawed hand for silence. "Impossible," Vexthor said. "All species know of the Dominion. We have conquered 47 star systems. Our empire spans—" "Yeah, that's great," Elena interrupted. "But we're from really far away, apparently. So we didn't get the memo." Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's medical officer, spoke up from her station. "Captain, their weapons are locked on us." "I'm reading some kind of energy buildup." Elena sighed. She had dealt with plenty of difficult people in her career. Customs officers, company executives, pirates near the belt. She treated them all the same way. Stay calm, stay practical, don't show fear. "Commander Vexthor," she said. "Here's the situation. We can't go anywhere right now. Our FTL drive is fried. We need parts and time to fix it. After that, we'll leave and you'll never see us again. Or you can blow us up, but that seems like a waste of everyone's time." Vexthor stared at her. His mandibles clicked rapidly. Finally, he spoke. "Your attitude is unusual. Species who enter Dominion space without permission typically plead for their lives. Some offer treasures. Others attack in desperation. But you speak to me as if this is a minor inconvenience." "Because it is," James muttered. Elena shot him a look. Then she turned back to the screen. "We don't mean any disrespect. We're just trying to be practical. What do you want us to do?" The commander's 4 eyes narrowed. "I want you to understand your situation. You are surrounded by the most powerful military force in this region of space. Your ship is primitive. Your weapons are laughable. One of our destroyers could vaporize you in seconds. Okay, Elena said. Okay? Vexthor repeated. Yeah, we get it. You're powerful. We're not. So what happens now? The alien commander seemed thrown off balance. He looked at someone off screen, then back at Elena. You will be taken to Krynoth Prime, our capital world. There you will be presented to the Emperor. He will decide if your species is worthy of assimilation into the Dominion, or if you will be made examples of. Elena turned to her crew. Thoughts? Do we have a choice? Asked Sarah. Doesn't sound like it. James checked his console. The drive needs at least 40 hours of work, and that's if we can fabricate the replacement parts. We're not jumping anywhere soon. Elena made her decision. Fine, Commander. We'll go to your capital, but I'm logging this as an overtime situation. My crew gets paid for extra hours. Vexthor's face did something that might have been confusion or anger. You think about payment at a time like this? Someone has to, Elena said. We've got bills to pay. The screen went dark. A moment later, smaller alien ships surrounded the Perseverance. Tractor beams locked onto the hull and the cargo ship began moving toward the alien fleet. James unbuckled from his seat. Captain, are we really doing this? You have a better idea? Not really. It's just, this is first contact. This is huge. We're about to meet an interstellar empire. Elena stood up and stretched. Her back hurt. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, and now she was a prisoner of aliens. She thought about all the training she had received, all the emergency procedures, all the simulations. None of them had covered accidentally jump into alien space and get captured, but she had lived through worse. They all had. Earth's last 50 years had been brutal. Wars, plagues, climate disasters. Everyone on her crew had lost someone. Everyone had seen civilization nearly collapse. They rebuilt because they had no choice. This was just another problem to solve. Sarah, run a medical scan on all of us, Elena ordered. I want to know if their ships are leaking anything toxic. James, start documenting everything. If we make it home, Earth needs to know about this. Everyone else get some rest. Something tells me we're going to need it. As the Perseverance was pulled into the massive alien fleet, Elena looked out at the strange stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. And somehow they had to get back to it. But first, they had to meet an emperor. She poured herself a fresh cup of coffee from the backup thermos and sat down to write her report. It started with, Day 47 of cargo run, unusual circumstances encountered. That felt about right. Part 2, the journey to Krynoth Prime took 3 days. During that time, the crew of the Perseverance had nothing to do but watch alien ships patrol around them and wait. Elena used the time to learn what she could. The Krynoth were not interested in talking. They sent food that the ship's scanner said was barely edible for humans. They refused to answer questions. The only message that came through was a repeated warning. Do not try to escape. Do not alter course, do not activate weapons. We don't even have real weapons, James said, looking at the ship's small defensive railgun. This thing is for shooting debris, not fighting warships. Sarah studied the scans they had taken of the Krynoth vessels. Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours, but not impossibly so. Maybe 100 years ahead. Their energy weapons are impressive, but their propulsion looks similar to our FTL theory. Elena nodded. Earth had only developed FTL travel 15 years ago. Humanity was still new to space beyond the solar system. Most human ships stayed close to home, mining asteroids or building colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. The Perseverance had been on a simple run to collect ice from the Kuiper Belt. Now they were about to see an alien empire. When Krynoth Prime appeared on the view screen, Elena had to admit it was impressive. The planet was larger than Earth, with 3 moons. Cities covered most of the visible surface, glowing with lights. Orbital stations ringed the world like jewelry. Ships moved in organized patterns, thousands of them. It's beautiful, Sarah whispered. It's terrifying, James corrected. That's a civilization that can wage war on a galactic scale. The Perseverance was guided down to the surface, landing in what appeared to be a massive spaceport. Through the windows, they could see hundreds of different ship designs. Some looked like the Krynoth vessels, but others were completely different. Species from conquered worlds, Elena guessed. A docking tube connected to their airlock. Vexthor's voice came over the communicator one last time. Exit your vessel. You will be escorted to the presentation hall. Do not resist. Do not run. Your compliance will be noted. The crew gathered at the airlock. Elena looked at each of them. Stay together, stay calm. Watch everything. We represent Earth now, whether we want to or not. They stepped out into an alien world. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet. The gravity was heavier than Earth's, making each step feel harder. Alien soldiers surrounded them immediately. Tall Krynoth warriors in black armor carrying energy weapons. They formed a tight escort around the humans. The walk through the city was designed to intimidate. Elena saw that clearly. They were paraded down a wide street lined with crowds. Thousands of aliens watched them pass. Most were not Krynoth. She saw dozens of different species, and many of them wore collars around their necks that glowed with soft blue light. Those are slaves, Sarah said quietly, or servants. Something like that. Some of the collared aliens looked at the humans with pity. Others looked away quickly as if making eye contact was dangerous. The street opened into a massive plaza. In the center stood a monument taller than any building Elena had ever seen. It was made of black stone and covered in carvings. As they walked past, she realized what she was looking at. It's a memorial, James said, reading the symbols with help from his portable translator. The Hall of Broken Worlds. Each carving represents a species that defied the Dominion. Elena counted them. 23 different species, each carved with scenes of their destruction. Planets burning, cities collapsing, people dying. Vexthor walked beside them now, watching their reactions. You see the price of rebellion. 23 species chose extinction over joining the Dominion. We gave them chances to surrender peacefully. They refused. They were destroyed. Elena stopped walking and studied one carving. It showed a species that looked almost mammalian, with large eyes and delicate hands. The carving showed their world being bombarded from orbit. They chose death over slavery, she said. They chose foolishness over wisdom. Vexthor corrected. Maybe. Elena turned to face him. Or maybe they figured death was better than living on their knees. We've had that debate on Earth too. The commander's mandibles clicked. Explain. As they continued walking, Elena told him. She told him about World War II, about the Holocaust, about people who resisted even when resistance meant death. She told him about slaves who rebelled knowing they would be killed. She told him about protesters who stood in front of tanks. Humans have a saying, she finished. Give me liberty or give me death. Some things are worse than dying. Vexthor was silent for a long moment. Your species has killed its own people? In large numbers? Millions, Elena said quietly. Across many wars. We've done terrible things to each other. That's part of why we're trying to be better now. They entered a building so large it had its own weather system. Clouds hung near the ceiling. The floor was polished stone that reflected everything like a mirror. At the far end, easily a mile away, sat a throne. The walk to the throne took 20 minutes. Elena used the time to observe everything. She saw hundreds of aliens in the hall, all watching. She saw guards at every entrance. She saw technology she didn't understand built into the walls. And she saw the Emperor. Krythos the Eternal was massive, nearly twice the size of Vexthor. His scales were deep purple instead of the green-brown of other Krynoth. He wore robes that seemed to shimmer with energy. His throne was made of something transparent and crystalline, and inside it, Elena could see shapes, skulls, bones, preserved remains. Those are the leaders of defeated species, Vexthor whispered. The Emperor sits upon their thrones as a reminder of his power. The Emperor spoke, and his voice filled the entire hall without any visible speakers. Humans, I am told you wandered into our space by accident. I am told you show no proper fear. I am told you speak to my commanders as equals. Elena stepped forward. Your Majesty, we meant no offense. We didn't know your empire existed until 3 days ago. Ignorance is not an excuse. The Emperor leaned forward. I have ruled for 800 of your years. I have seen countless species kneel before me. Some join willingly, some fight and lose, but all eventually understand the natural order. The strong rule, the weak serve. That's one way to run things, Elena said. A ripple of shock went through the hall. Several aliens made sounds of surprise or fear. Vexthor's eyes widened. The Emperor's expression didn't change. You do not seem impressed by my power. It's impressive, Elena said honestly. You've built something huge here, but I've seen power before. Earth has powerful people too. Some of them use it well, some don't. You dare compare your primitive world to my eternal empire? Elena thought about how to answer. She thought about Earth's history, about empires that had seemed eternal and then collapsed. Rome, the Mongols, the British Empire. All of them thought they would last forever. Your Majesty, she said carefully, Earth has had many empires. They all seemed eternal to the people living in them. None of them lasted. The Emperor stood. The hall went silent. Energy crackled around his hands. You will see a demonstration, he said, so you understand what defiance costs. The throne room's walls came alive with holographic images. They showed a world beautiful and green with cities that looked like works of art. The species there looked like birds, with colorful feathers and delicate builds. Then, the bombardment began. Krynoth ships filled the sky. Weapons fired. The cities burned. The oceans boiled. Within an hour, the entire planet was dead. The Zylax, the Emperor said. They refused to join us. They believed their art and culture made them special. I erased them from existence in a single day. 3 billion souls. Elena watched the destruction. She felt sick. But she had seen footage like this before. In history classes. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Dresden, the firebombing of Tokyo. Humanity had done this to itself, over and over. It's terrible, she said quietly. And you're right, we can't fight you. But that doesn't mean we're going to be impressed by genocide. We've seen it before. We've done it to ourselves. That's why most of us think it's wrong now. The Emperor stared at her. You claim your species has committed such acts against itself? Many times, Elena said. That's the thing about humans. We've been our own worst enemy for thousands of years. We've nearly destroyed ourselves at least a dozen times, and somehow we're still here. Bexthor stepped forward. Sire, I had our intelligence division analyze their homeworld's history. The humans speak truth. Their species has warred against itself constantly. Their weapons, while primitive, have been used to kill millions of their own kind. The Emperor sat back down slowly. Why would a species do this? Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. If we knew that, we wouldn't have done it. But we did. And we learned from it. Most of us, anyway. Then your species is broken, the Emperor declared. Maybe, Elena said. Or maybe we're just honest about what we are. You want to scare us with the Zylax? They died fighting you. But humans die fighting each other every day, and we keep going. Your worst threat is just another Tuesday for us. The hall erupted in whispers and clicks and sounds Elena couldn't identify. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. Interesting, he said. You will be tested. Prove your species is worthy of standing alongside the Dominion, or you will serve it as slaves. You will face the gauntlet of ascension. Elena looked at her crew. They looked tired and scared. Part 3, they were given one night to prepare. The humans were taken to a holding facility that was more comfortable than Elena expected. Separate rooms, actual beds, food that was nearly edible. But the doors were locked and guards stood watch outside. Elena gathered her crew in the common area. 7 people who had signed up for a boring cargo run and now represented their entire species. Okay, she said. Let's think this through. What do we know about this gauntlet? James had been talking to one of the guards who spoke better English. It's a test, physical and mental. 30 species have tried it, most failed. The ones who failed either died or became slaves. And the ones who passed? Sarah asked. They were allowed to join the Dominion as equals. Sort of. They still have to follow the Emperor's laws, but they're not slaves. Elena rubbed her eyes. She was exhausted. So, we either pass this test, die trying, or become slaves. Great options. There's a 4th option, said Maria Rodriguez, their pilot. We could refuse. Some of those 23 species chose death over submission. The room went quiet. Elena looked at her crew. They were young, most of them in their 20s and 30s. They had families back home, dreams, futures. No, Elena said firmly. We're not choosing death. Not yet. Not while there's another option. But Captain, Maria protested, if we join them, even as equals, we're supporting an empire built on slavery and conquest. I know. Elena stood and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the alien city glowing in the night. But if we die here, Earth never learns about the Dominion. They don't know what's out there. Maybe we can get home and warn them. James nodded slowly. She's right. Information is worth something. Even if we fail, we should try to survive long enough to understand what we're facing. They spent the night planning. None of them could sleep anyway. In the morning, guards came for them. They were taken to an arena so large it had its own horizon. Thousands of aliens filled the stands watching. Elena realized this was entertainment for them. Species struggling for survival turned into a show. The Emperor sat in a private box high above the arena floor. His voice boomed down at them. Humans. The gauntlet has 3 stages: combat, endurance, and choice. You may work together or alone. You may use any strategy you wish. But know this: failure means death or slavery. There is no mercy. Begin. A gate opened at the far end of the arena. Something roared inside. Of course it's monsters, James muttered. Why wouldn't it be monsters? 3 creatures charged out. They were massive, covered in armor like hide, with multiple legs and heads full of teeth. They moved fast despite their size. The crew scattered. They had no weapons, no armor, just their wits. Elena ran toward the arena wall looking for anything useful. She found it. Maintenance equipment left in a storage alcove. Not weapons, but tools. She grabbed a long metal pipe and threw another to James. "Maria, the sand!" Elena shouted. Maria understood. She kicked sand toward one creature's eyes. It roared and stumbled. That gave James time to swing his pipe at its legs. The creature fell. They weren't trying to kill the beasts. They couldn't. But they could use tactics. Humans had been hunting dangerous animals for thousands of years. They knew how to work as a team. Sarah found a weak spot in the wall, a crack that led to the maintenance tunnels. "Here, we can funnel them." They led the creatures toward the narrow opening. The beasts were too large to fit through easily. That gave the humans time to attack from safety, using long tools to strike at vulnerable spots. It took an hour, but they won. The creatures finally retreated, wounded but not dead. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some aliens cheered, others seemed disappointed. "Stage 1 complete," the Emperor announced. "Interesting tactics. You fight like scavengers, not warriors." "We fight smart," Elena called back. "That's how humans survive." The second stage was worse. The arena floor opened, and they were dropped into separate cells, completely isolated. The cells were small, dark, and cold. Food came once a day, but it was barely enough. Water was limited. Elena had been briefed on sensory deprivation and isolation during her early training. Earth had studied what happened to prisoners of war, to astronauts on long missions, to people trapped in disaster zones. They knew isolation drove people crazy, but they also knew how to fight it. Elena created a routine. Exercise in the morning. Count her breaths. Sing songs in her head. Remember her family. Tell herself stories. She marked days on the wall with her fingernail. She didn't know if the others were alive. That was the hardest part. But she trusted them. They were smart. They were strong. They would hold on. 5 days passed. Then 10. Elena's stomach hurt constantly from hunger. Her lips cracked from thirst. She talked to herself to keep her mind active. On the 15th day, the cell door opened. She stumbled out into light that hurt her eyes. The others were there too, thin and weak but alive. All 7 of them had survived. "Impossible," Vexthor whispered from the stands. "Most species break after 3 days. The longest any species has lasted is 12 days. "Humans are stubborn," Elena croaked. Her voice was rough from disuse. They were given water and food, real food this time and plenty of it. Elena knew what was happening. This was the carrot after the stick. Make them desperate, then generous. It was an old trick. The Emperor descended from his box to the arena floor. He walked among them, studying them like specimens. "You survived through willpower," he said. That is rare. Most species we conquer have never truly suffered. You have. I can see it in your eyes. Your species knows hardship. We've had a rough few decades, James admitted. The Emperor nodded. Yes. My intelligence officers have learned much about Earth. Your world wars, your genocides, your plagues and famines. You are a species born from suffering. We prefer to think we're a species that survived suffering, Sarah said. Perhaps. The Emperor gestured and a hologram appeared. It showed a small, furry alien restrained on a platform. This is a Mira, one of our servant species. The final stage is simple. Kill this creature or join it in slavery. This is the, test of worthiness. Are you strong enough to do what must be done? Elena stared at the hologram. The Mira looked terrified. She could see it shaking. You want us to kill an innocent being, she said slowly. I want you to prove you understand the natural order. The strong take life. The weak lose it. Show me you are strong. Elena looked at her crew. She saw the same horror in their eyes that she felt. This was the real test. Not physical strength or endurance. This was about morality. No, Elena said. The Emperor's eyes widened. No? We won't kill an innocent, Elena said. That's not strength. That's cruelty. There's a difference. Then you have failed, the Emperor declared. You will be collared and made servants of— Wait, Elena interrupted. You said we could use any strategy we wanted, any choice. I choose option 3. There is no option 3. Yes, there is. Elena turned to face the crowd. She knew this arena had cameras, that every alien species in the Dominion was watching. You've given conquered species 2 options: kill or be enslaved. Both options serve you. Either we prove we're brutal enough to fit in your empire, or we become your slaves. But there's a third option. We refuse to play. That is the same as choosing slavery, Vexthor said. No, Elena said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. It's choosing to stay human, to stay decent. You can collar us, you can enslave us, but you can't make us into killers. You can't make us give up what we believe in. She turned to the other species in the crowd, especially the ones wearing collars. And to everyone watching who's already been conquered, you're not weak because you survived. You're strong. You chose to live. That's not shameful, but you don't have to accept this forever. The arena erupted in noise. Guards moved forward. The Emperor raised his hand, and there was sudden silence. You dare to incite rebellion in my presence? His voice was dangerous. I'm not inciting anything, Elena said. I'm just pointing out the obvious. You built an empire on fear. You make species think they only have 2 choices. But there's always a third choice. Humans learned that the hard way. And what is this third choice? The Emperor demanded. Resistance. Not violent rebellion, something smarter. What happens if every enslaved species just stops cooperating? What if they work slowly, make mistakes, forget how to do things? An empire needs its servants. What happens when the servants stop serving? The Emperor moved fast, faster than Elena expected. His hand was at her throat, lifting her off the ground. His eyes blazed with rage. You will not spread such poison, he hissed. Elena couldn't breathe, but she smiled. Too late. Everyone heard. You can kill me, but the idea is already out there. The Emperor threw her down. She hit the ground hard, gasping for air. Sarah rushed to help her up. You have given me no choice, the Emperor said. You will be made examples of. Your species will be marked for destruction. Earth will be found and burned. That's your right, Elena said, still catching her breath. But it won't change what I said. The idea is out there now. You can't unring that bell. Part 4, the holding cells were different this time. Better. Almost comfortable. Elena found that suspicious. Why are we getting nicer treatment? Maria asked, touching the soft bed with confusion. Because we're a problem now, James said. They're trying to figure out what to do with us. He was right. Over the next 3 days, the humans were kept isolated but well fed. Doctors checked on them. Their injuries from the arena were treated, but no one would answer their questions. On the fourth day, Vexthor came to see them. The commander looked tired. His scales were dull, and his movements were less precise than before. He stood outside their cell, studying them through the energy barrier. "You have created chaos," he said quietly. "Small chaos, but chaos nonetheless. Productivity is down across the capital by 15%. Servants are making errors. Workers are slowing their pace. Nothing violent. Nothing we can punish easily, just resistance." "Good," Elena said. "Good." Vexthor's mandibles clicked sharply. "You are pleased that you have disrupted the natural order?" "There's nothing natural about slavery," Sarah said. "And yeah, we're pleased. Those people finally stood up for themselves." Vexthor was silent for a moment. Then he did something unexpected. He turned off the energy barrier and stepped inside the cell. His guards looked alarmed but didn't follow. "I want to understand," the commander said. "Your species nearly destroyed itself. You have known war and suffering, yet you still believe in resistance? In fighting power?" Elena gestured to a chair. "Sit. This might take a while." Vexthor sat looking uncomfortable with the informal setting. Elena settled across from him. "Here's the thing about humans," she began. "We're really good at learning the wrong lessons. For thousands of years, we kept making the same mistakes, building empires, conquering neighbors, enslaving people we thought were weaker, and it always ended the same way. The empires fell. The slaves rebelled. Everything collapsed. Yet your species survived," Vexthor noted. "Barely. About 50 years ago, we almost ended ourselves for good. Climate collapse. World war plagues, nuclear weapons pointed at our own cities. We came within hours of destroying everything." James picked up the story. "I was born in the aftermath. The world population dropped from 10 billion to 6 billion in 20 years. Most cities were abandoned. Governments fell. It was hell. So you know the cost of chaos," Vexthor said. "That is why the Dominion exists. We prevent such destruction through order and control." "But that's not what saved us," Sarah said. "What saved humanity wasn't control. It was cooperation. People from different countries, different cultures, different beliefs, all working together because we finally understood something important." "What?" Vexthor leaned forward. "That we're all we've got," Elena finished. "Humans, I mean. We're alone in the universe. Or we thought we were. We only have each other, so we can either destroy each other or help each other. We chose to help." She stood and walked to the window. The alien city stretched out below, beautiful and terrible. "That's why we won't kill for you. Why we won't accept your empire. Because we've been where you are. We've tried ruling through fear and force. It doesn't work. Not forever. Eventually, the people you're crushing find a way to push back." Vexthor stood as well. "You speak as if the Dominion will fall. We have ruled for 2,000 years. We are eternal." "Rome thought it was eternal too," James said. "It lasted about 400 years and then it collapsed. The Mongol Empire conquered half the known world in less than a century. It fell apart in another century. The British Empire controlled a quarter of Earth's land. It's gone now." "Nothing lasts forever," Elena said softly. "Especially systems built on cruelty." The commander's mandibles clicked slowly, a sign of deep thought. "The Emperor is considering executing you, making a public example, showing that resistance leads only to death." "That might work," Elena admitted. "Or it might make things worse for him. Humans love martyrs. We tell stories about people who died for what they believed in. We remember them for centuries. Kill us and you make us symbols, and if he lets you live, returns you to Earth." Elena smiled. "Then we go home and tell everyone about the Dominion. Earth will prepare. We're pretty good at preparing for threats. We've had a lot of practice." Vexthor moved toward the door, then stopped. "I fought in the conquest of the Zylax. I was there when we burned their world. I thought it was necessary. The Emperor said they were dangerous, that they threatened the Dominion's stability." He turned back to face them. "But they were artists, scientists. They built beautiful things. They had families. And we killed them all because they refused to kneel." His voice was barely a whisper. "I have thought about that for 300 years. And I still do not know if it was right." "It wasn't," Sarah said gently. "But you know that already." The commander left without another word. That night something changed. The humans woke to alarms blaring throughout the facility. Lights flashed red. Guards ran past their cell without stopping. "What's happening?" Maria pressed against the window. They got their answer when a small, furry figure appeared at their cell door. It was a Mira, like the one they had refused to kill in the arena. The alien's collar was sparking and damaged. "Please," the Mira said in broken English. "Come, quickly, escape." "Why are you helping us?" Elena asked. "You chose not to kill me. You said we are strong because we survived." "No one ever said that before." The Mira's eyes filled with tears. Others heard. "We are trying to help." They followed the Mira through maintenance tunnels past areas where other enslaved species were deliberately causing problems. A fire here. A computer failure there. Nothing violent. Just enough chaos to keep the guards busy. They reached the spaceport. The Perseverance sat where they had left it, but now it was surrounded by guards. "We can't get past them," James said. "Yes, you can." Vexthor stepped from the shadows. "I am granting you diplomatic passage. You will return to Earth and deliver a message." Elena stared at him. "What message?" "Tell them the truth. Tell them about the Dominion. Tell them we are powerful but not invincible. Tell them," he paused. "Tell them some of us are questioning what we have become. You're helping us escape?" "I am preventing a massacre. If the Emperor executes you publicly, the servants might truly rebel. That would lead to violence. Millions would die. This way you leave quietly and I can claim you escaped." "You'll be punished," Sarah said. "Perhaps, but I am tired of punishing others." Vexthor gestured to the ship. "Go. The spaceport defense has been disabled for the next 10 minutes. That is all I can give you." They ran for the ship. As they reached the ramp, Elena turned back. "Vexthor, thank you. Do not thank me. Just remember us. Remember that not all of the Dominion supports what it has become." The Perseverance launched into space with every alarm on the planet screaming. But no one fired on them. Either Vexthor had done more than he said, or someone higher up was letting them go. As they cleared the planet's orbit and prepared to jump to FTL, Elena looked back at Krinoth Prime. Even from space, she could see fires burning in the capital. Not destruction, but signs of chaos. Signs of resistance. "Did we do the right thing?" Maria asked. "We might have started a war down there." "No," Elena said firmly. "We reminded them they could say no. What they do with that is up to them." James had been working on the navigation computer. "Captain, I've got bad news. I can't find Earth. Our star charts are all wrong from this part of space. We might be lost," Elena laughed. It started as a small chuckle and grew into full laughter. The crew looked at her like she was crazy. "What's funny?" Sarah asked. "We survived first contact. We inspired a rebellion. We escaped from an empire that's conquered 47 star systems. And now we're lost in space trying to find home." Elena wiped tears from her eyes. "That's the most human thing I've ever heard. So what do we do?" James asked. Elena sat in the captain's chair and pulled up the navigation display. "We do what humans always do. We figure it out. Start scanning for any signals. Map the stars. Work the problem. We'll find Earth. And if we don't," Maria asked quietly, "then we keep trying. That's what humans do. We don't give up. Not when there's still a chance." As the Perseverance jumped to FTL, leaving the Dominion behind, Elena thought about everything that had happened. They had met an empire of conquerors and refused to be impressed. They had faced impossible tests and survived. They had planted seeds of rebellion without firing a shot. But most importantly, they had stayed human. They had kept their values even when it would have been easier to abandon them. "You know," James said, breaking the silence, "when we get back to Earth, if we get back, no one is going to believe this story." "Probably not," Elena agreed. "But we'll tell it anyway. And we'll tell them to prepare, because the Dominion is out there, and eventually they might come looking for Earth." "You think they will?" Sarah asked. Elena remembered the Emperor's rage. She remembered Vexthor's doubt. She remembered the fires in the capital and the Mira with the broken collar. "I think we changed something. Whether that's good or bad, we'll find out. But the galaxy knows about humans now, and humans know about the galaxy. Everything is different now." The ship hummed around them as they traveled through the void. Somewhere ahead was home, somewhere behind was an empire in turmoil, and somewhere in between, 7 humans were just trying to find their way. It was, Elena thought, a very human problem to have. Part 5, Finding Earth, took 43 days. The Perseverance limped through space, jumping blind, trying to find familiar stars. The crew rationed food and water. They took turns sleeping to conserve oxygen. The ship's systems, already damaged from the original accident, began failing one by one. But they kept going, because that's what humans did. On day 43, James picked up a signal. It was faint, old, but unmistakable. The Voyager probe still sending its message into the void after more than 300 years. "We're close," he whispered. "We're almost home." 2 days later, they saw it. A yellow sun. A small blue planet third from the star. Earth. Elena felt something break inside her chest, but in a good way. Like a dam releasing pressure. She hadn't realized how much she needed to see home until that moment. "Contact Earth Station Alpha," she ordered. "Tell them we're coming in." The response was immediate and confused. "Perseverance, you were declared lost 6 weeks ago. Where have you been?" "That," Elena said, "is a very long story." They were met in orbit by 3 military ships and a medical vessel. The Earth Colonial Authority was taking no chances. The crew was quarantined immediately, examined by doctors and debriefed by intelligence officers who looked both excited and terrified. Elena told them everything. The accidental jump, the Krynoth Dominion, the gauntlet, the resistance they had inspired. She showed them the data they had collected, the star charts, the recordings of alien technology. The intelligence officers listened in silence. One of them, a woman named Director Chen, finally spoke. "You're telling us there's a multi-system empire out there that conquers species for fun, and you accidentally started a rebellion in their capital?" "More or less," Elena confirmed. "And they let you go?" "One of their commanders helped us escape. I think he was having doubts about the whole empire thing." Director Chen rubbed her temples. This is the biggest news in human history. First contact. And we stumbled into it because of a broken FTL drive." "That's humanity for you," James said. "We don't do things the easy way." The debriefing lasted for 3 days. Elena and her crew answered the same questions over and over. Yes, the Dominion was real. Yes, they had superior technology. Yes, they were expansionist and aggressive. No, Earth probably couldn't win a war against them. "But they can be resisted," Elena insisted. "We proved that. They're not invincible. They're just old and set in their ways, and some of them are starting to question their own system." On the 4th day, they were finally allowed to leave quarantine. Elena stepped onto Earth's surface for the first time in months. The gravity felt right. The air smelled like home. She knelt down and touched the ground just to feel it. "Dramatic much?" James asked, but he was smiling. "I earned the right to be dramatic," Elena replied. They were heroes, at least for a few weeks. News agencies wanted interviews. The UN wanted testimonies. Scientists wanted every scrap of data they had collected. It was overwhelming. But then the real work began. Earth's governments came together, something that rarely happens smoothly. They created the Office of Exospecies Relations. They began building better defenses. They started training diplomats and warriors for the possibility of more alien contact, and they prepared for the day the Dominion might come looking for humanity. Elena was promoted and given command of the first dedicated exploration vessel, the Discovery. But she turned it down. "Why?" Director Chen asked, shocked. "You're perfect for it. You have experience with aliens. You kept your crew alive. You're a natural leader." "Because I'm tired," Elena said honestly. "I just want to haul cargo and go home to my family. Let someone else be the explorer." But she did agree to train the new exploration crews. She taught them everything she had learned. How to stay calm in crisis. How to think creatively when technology failed. How to maintain humanity even when facing the inhuman. "The most important thing," she told a class of young explorers, "is to remember what we are. We're humans. We've survived ice ages and plagues and wars and near extinction. We've done terrible things to each other, but we've also done beautiful things. We've built civilizations and destroyed them and built them again. We don't give up." One student raised her hand. "But Captain Martinez, the Dominion is so much more powerful than us. How can we possibly stand against them?" Elena smiled. "The same way we've always stood against impossible odds. By being too stubborn to quit. By adapting faster than our enemies expect. By remembering that technology isn't everything. They have better weapons and ships. But we have something they've forgotten." "What's that?" "The ability to change. To question ourselves, to grow. The Dominion has been the same for 2,000 years. That means they've been stagnant for 2,000 years. While we've been changing, learning, evolving, that's our advantage. 3 months after their return, Elena received a message. It came through channels she didn't know existed, encrypted with codes that took Earth's best computers days to crack. It was from Vexthor. The message was short. The seed you planted grows, slowly, carefully, but it grows. The Mira have been granted limited autonomy. Other species are negotiating for better treatment. The Emperor is adapting. Change is happening.
It is frightening.
But necessary. Thank you, and be ready. Not all Krynoth agree with these changes. Some may seek Earth to punish you for what you started. Elena showed the message to Director Chen. Should we be worried? The director asked. We should always be worried, Elena said. But we should also be hopeful. Change is happening out there. Maybe it'll be peaceful. Maybe not. But at least it's happening. 6 months later, Earth received its second contact with aliens. But these weren't Krynoth. They were Mira, the small furry species Elena had refused to kill. They came in a small ship bearing a simple message. Thank you. We are not free yet, but we are closer than we were. Some of us have escaped. We seek refuge. We offer knowledge of the Dominion in exchange for sanctuary. Earth's governments debated for weeks. Accepting refugees from the Dominion could be seen as an act of war. But turning away beings seeking freedom went against human values. In the end, they accepted the Mira. 100 of them at first, then more. They settled in Australia, in a community built specifically for them. They taught humans about the Dominion's weaknesses, their trade routes, their political divisions, and they told stories of a human crew that had refused to kill, that had chosen principle over survival, that had reminded an entire empire that resistance was possible. Elena visited the Mira settlement once. She was greeted like a legend. Small aliens pressed forward wanting to touch her, to thank her. It was uncomfortable. One elder Mira, whose collar scars were still visible, approached her privately. You do not like being called a hero, the elder said. I'm not a hero, Elena replied. I just did what felt right. That is what heroes always say. The elder's eyes were kind. But whether you accept the title or not, you changed our world. The Dominion is different now, slower, more careful. They know that species can resist without violence. That is a powerful truth. Will you be free someday? Elena asked. Perhaps. Perhaps not. But we have hope now. And hope is a beginning. 1 year after the incident, Elena returned to her cargo runs. She had a new ship, the Second Chance, and a mostly new crew. But James came with her. And Sarah. They couldn't stay away from space, even after everything. On their first run to Mars, James looked at the stars and said, You ever think about going back out there? Deep space, I mean, beyond the solar system. Sometimes, Elena admitted, but not yet. Earth needs time to prepare, to get stronger, and I need time to forget how close we came to dying. Fair enough. James smiled. But when Earth does go back out there, when we meet the Dominion again or find other species, they'll be ready because of us. Because of what we taught them, Sarah corrected. Stay human. Stay adaptable. Don't be impressed by bullies, Elena laughed. Yeah, that's a pretty good lesson. They settled into their cargo run, hauling supplies from Earth to the Mars colonies. It was boring work, routine, safe, and Elena loved every minute of it. 2 years after first contact, the news arrived. The Dominion was in chaos. Not violent revolution, but massive restructuring. The Emperor had announced reforms. Slavery was being phased out, slowly. Conquered species were being given representation in government. It wasn't freedom, not yet, but it was change, and some Krynoth didn't like it. A faction within the Dominion military had broken away, declaring themselves the true Dominion. They vowed to restore the old ways, to crush the weak, to expand the empire through conquest, not compromise. They're coming, Director Chen told Elena during a secure call. The Splinter faction. Intelligence says they're looking for Earth. They want to make an example of us to show that the old ways were better. Elena felt her stomach drop. How long do we have? Months. Maybe a year. Then we prepare. Elena stood straighter. And we don't do it alone. Contact the Mira. Contact Vexthor if you can. Anyone in the Dominion who wants peace. Let them know we're not fighting to destroy the Dominion. We're fighting to help it change. You think the Krynoth